The message came in at 9:42 p.m., and nothing about it felt unusual until I looked up from my phone and saw Evelyn sitting across from me, quietly stirring her tea. Her daughter had just told me she was with her. And yet, there Evelyn was, calm, composed, completely unaware of the lie that had just been typed in her name. I didn't respond right away. I just stared at the screen a little longer than I should have. The words felt heavier the second time I read them. And my mom's. Signal's bad here. Evelyn's eyes lifted briefly, catching mine for a split second, and she smiled politely, the kind of smile that comes from years of practiced social grace. There was no hint of deception in her expression, no subtle nod that we were sharing a secret. Nothing, which meant one thing. Clara Whitfield wasn't where she said she was, and she was using her own mother as cover. I placed my phone face down on the polished oak table, trying to keep my expression neutral. Evelyn took a small sip of her tea, then set the cup down with deliberate care. "You seem distracted tonight, Daniel," she said, her voice soft but observant. Daniel Prescott had built his life on reading people. In boardrooms, in negotiations, in subtle shifts of tone that most people missed. But right now, sitting in Evelyn Whitfield's immaculate dining room in Greenwich, Connecticut, he felt something far more personal creeping in. A quiet, unsettling doubt. "I've just had a long week," he replied, offering a measured smile. She nodded as if she understood. But the truth was, the week had been perfectly manageable. Until this moment. Until that message. Clara wasn't just his fiancée. She was someone he had spent 3 years building a future with. A future that was supposed to be grounded in trust, consistency, shared expectations. And now, all of that felt like it had shifted, just slightly, but enough to notice, enough to matter. Evelyn stood up gracefully and walked toward the kitchen. "I'll bring dessert," she said. Daniel watched her go, his mind racing in quiet loops. There were explanations. There had to be. Signal issues, miscommunication, a simple mix-up. But none of those explanations felt strong enough to override what he had just seen with his own eyes. He picked up his phone again. The message was still there, untouched, unanswered. He typed slowly. "Tell your mom I said hello." Then he hit send. The typing indicator appeared almost immediately, then disappeared, then appeared again. It lingered longer this time, as if Clara was thinking, as if she was recalculating. Finally, her reply came through. "She's asleep. Long day." Daniel's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Across the room, Evelyn returned, carrying 2 small plates with perfectly arranged slices of lemon tart. She placed one in front of him, her movements steady and precise. There was no sign of exhaustion in her posture, no indication that she had just woken up. She looked exactly as she had all evening. Present, aware, engaged. Daniel picked up his fork, but he didn't take a bite. Instead, he studied the situation in silence. Clara had lied. Not vaguely, not indirectly, but specifically, in the detail of the lie. The mother was what made it harder to ignore. People lie for reasons. Convenience, fear, protection. But using a verifiable detail like that meant she either didn't expect to be questioned, or she believed she wouldn't be caught. And that raised a different kind of question. How often had this happened before? "Is everything all right between you and Clara?" Evelyn asked suddenly, her tone gentle but intentional. Daniel looked up, caught slightly off guard. He considered deflecting, offering something vague, but something in Evelyn's expression made him pause. There was a quiet intelligence there, a knowing. "Before we go further, what would you do in this moment? Would you confront the truth immediately, risking an uncomfortable scene, or would you wait, gather more clarity, and risk letting the doubt grow deeper?" Daniel set his fork down. "She told me she was here tonight," he said carefully. Evelyn blinked once. A subtle reaction, but noticeable. "She's not," Evelyn replied simply. There was no defensiveness, no confusión, just a calm statement of fact. Daniel nodded slowly. "I thought so." Evelyn leaned back slightly, her gaze shifting, not away, but deeper, more focused. "She's been distant lately," she said after a pause. Not as an accusation, but as an observation. Daniel didn't respond immediately, because he had noticed it too. The late replies, the unexplained schedule changes. The subtle emotional withdrawal that's easy to dismiss when you want things to work. She said she needed space after the wedding planning started, Daniel admitted. Evelyn gave a small, almost imperceptible nod. Clara has always struggled with decisions that feel permanent, she said. That word lingered. Permanent. Marriage wasn't just a ceremony. It was a commitment that removed certain exits, closed certain doors, and maybe Clara wasn't ready to close them. Daniel felt something settle in his chest. Not anger. Not yet. But clarity beginning to take shape. He picked up his phone again. This time, he didn't hesitate. I'm with your mom right now. The message delivered instantly. No typing indicator. No immediate reply. Just silence. And sometimes, silence says more than anything else. Evelyn watched him carefully. Not intruding, but present. Supportive in a quiet, dignified way. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Finally, Clara's response came through. I can explain. Daniel read it once. Then again. He didn't feel the urgency to respond. Not anymore. Because the situation had already explained itself. The lie wasn't complicated. It wasn't layered. It was simple. And simplicity, in moments like this, is often the clearest form of truth. I'm sure you can, he typed back. But I think I understand enough. He set the phone down again, this time with finality. Evelyn exhaled softly. I'm sorry, she said. Daniel shook his head. You didn't do anything. But he appreciated the sentiment. Because it acknowledged what had just happened. The shift. The fracture. The moment where something stopped being what it was supposed to be. The rest of the evening passed quietly. There was no dramatic confrontation. No raised voices. Just a shared understanding that something had changed. And that change couldn't be undone by a simple explanation. Later that night, as Daniel drove back through the quiet streets of Greenwich, his phone buzzed again. Another message from Clara. Longer this time. More detailed. Excuses. Context. Justifications. He didn't read it right away. Instead, he focused on the road ahead. Because for the first time in a long time, he wasn't thinking about how to fix something. He was thinking about whether it was worth fixing at all. And that's a very different kind of question. If someone lies about where they are, it's not just about location. It's about intention. It's about what they're choosing not to say. And more importantly, why. Daniel finally pulled into his driveway. He sat in the car for a moment longer, the engine still running. Then he picked up his phone and opened Clara's message. He read it slowly, carefully, not looking for contradictions, but looking for truth. When he finished, he didn't feel anger. He didn't feel relief. He felt something quieter, something more decisive. He typed one final message. I think we need to postpone the wedding. He paused, then added, and figure out if this is something we can actually trust again. He sent it, then turned off the engine. Because sometimes the most important decisions don't come from emotional reactions. They come from moments of stillness. Moments where everything becomes clear, not because someone explained it, but because they didn't. And in that silence, Daniel finally understood what had been quietly unraveling all along.